Well, let me just get up my notes for my review because I reviewed Hunter x Hunter,
Why do you
which
still
is
need
not to be
notes? You've already
confused.
reviewed it.
I know, but it's more the names I forget. Um, which is not to be confused with a popular anime called Hunter x Hunter, which I believe is written Hunter x Hunter. It's a very different thing. Um, and it's a horror thriller written and directed by Sean Linden and stars Devon Sawa, most notably known for uh, he's the lead in the first Final Destination movie, and it has Camille Sullivan, Summer H. Howell, and Nick Stahl, who's another one that you'd probably recognise.
Yeah.
And it essentially follows a family of a husband, wife, and daughter who live a survivalist lifestyle, living in a log cabin with no electricity in the middle of the woods on their own. Don't have electricity, have to hunt their own food, have to fetch their own water, and the only time they go into the nearest town is to sell the fur and meat that they've hunted. And it starts early off. We get told about a wolf that has been appearing near the family home, and it's a big enough wolf to be a threat to their lives. So they start laying traps, and start hunting for this wolf. And you start believing that that is going to be the course of the film. But then, sometime in, the father, played by Devin Sawa, finds a sort of a ritualistic burial ground. There's bodies strewn about that were obviously fairly recently murdered people, all left in sort of fairly odd positions. Almost looks kind of cult-like. If you've seen True Detective season 1, then it's similar to that in the initial murders in
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And then it becomes very apparent that the wolf is not the only thing that's a threat to this family. And I won't say it anymore, purely because I really don't want to give too much away. I really enjoyed this film, but I'm going to have to explain why, because it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. I purely wanted to watch it because I read some reviews that said it had one of the best endings in recent like horror movie history,
Does
which
it?
is music to my ear. In my opinion, yes, but I'll get to.
Okay.
But the weird thing is, last night I literally explained the ending to someone, and they couldn't actually believe it. But
It wasn't me, by the way.
no, it wasn't you. But yeah, it's really tense throughout. It's only about an hour and 40 long, so it's a fairly short film, and for the first hour, it's sort of very slow burn, very intentionally slow, but still, I think because of the setting of the forest they're in and the sort of isolation of it all, it's constantly uneasy, and really does build a sense of dread and a sense of something watching or something coming. And then it culminates in the last half hour or so, where something happens and shit just gets worse. And it genuinely, like, I've watched a lot of dark and grim horror films with a lot of extreme gore, and even I was fairly like struck by this ending. I was hand over mouth, a bit blown away by it. And I don't want to say too much more, because I feel like if that sounds like your cup of tea, you should definitely seek it out and go see it. But at the same, because the ending for me took it from like an average good film to a really good film, but then it does contain some quite extreme gore and some shots that people less inclined to horror movies will struggle to sit through,
What
which
kind?
I completely get.
What kind of level of gore are we talking? Is this if I mean, is it Tarantino end of the scale, or does it go further than that, or is it?
It's, I mean, we could compare it to Possessor, which is a recent one we reviewed that did have quite intense gore.
Yeah.
It's similar in the sense of looks quite realistic and it's well done, but it's also the sheer balls to the wall craziness of it. Like, things happen to people that I don't remember seeing in a horror film in a long time, and the way a lot of the shots as well, where say in I don't know, like a torture porn, like a Hostel or Saw or something. Some of it, actually no, that's probably a bad example. But some horror films, it's sort of implied that something's happening to someone. Like they'll be about to do something, and then the camera will cut away, so you don't see all of it. But in this, they just show everything, almost to the point where I genuinely wanted them to turn the camera around.
By then, I'd seen everything.
Let me guess, her clothes fall off? Yes. By then, I've seen everything. Oh my god, why'd you have to remind me of that? Because now I've gone from being serious to laugh.
Sorry.
We should get Patrick Stewart on the podcast, actually.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Anyway,
I'm sure he'd
I'll
mix
stop
with us, wouldn't he?
Well, maybe if he watches this film and then reads this review or hears this review, he'll realise that we're spot on. Because I'd definitely recommend it. It's a thriller for about an hour, and then it's a horror film for half an hour, and the twist, it doesn't feel out of place. It feels well suited to what's been set up because it is tense throughout. And for someone that loves horror and gore, I really enjoyed the ending. But as I say, it's not everyone's cup of tea. I'm going to give it an 8.
An 8?
But an 8 because it would have been a 6 until the ending, and then the ending took it to an 8. But that could also mean that for some people it's a 6, and then the ending takes it to a 4 because it's too much.
Okay.
But I really enjoyed it.
Okay. I'll give that one a go, I think. What's it available on?
That was on Amazon Prime. I watched it on.
Okay.